Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. Indian equities struggle to find traction on the back of weak earnings and subdued cues from Asia. Indices lose over 1% each despite a brief gap up opening. The Nifty ends near a 5-month low. The rupee weakens to a fresh record low before closing flat. Bitcoin's record-breaking rally continues. The cryptocurrency closes in on $90,000 on mounting expectations that regulations under the Trump administration in the U.S. will be more crypto-friendly. Bitcoin's market cap is now higher than that of silver. Israeli forces continue to execute military operations in Lebanon. Airstrikes are reported in southern Beirut as Israel's newly appointed defense minister dismisses talks of a ceasefire in Lebanon. Over a dozen people are killed in airstrikes in Gaza. Shares of biscuit major Britannia fall the most among Nifty stocks after it posted a disappointing set of Q2 numbers. The management flags higher commodity prices and weakening demand, says volumes may take a hit in the short term. Telecom Minister Scindia says the Supreme Court order on telecom AGR dues is here to stay, as the government will communicate in case there is any reconsideration, but clarifies that any relief on bank guarantees will apply to the entire sector and not be company specific. Elon Musk Starlink is welcome in India, but there will be no concessions on licensing requirements, as the Telecom Minister Scindia adds. The satellite company is yet to comply with the relevant security standards in India. Japan's SoftBank Group is back in the black in style, records its biggest quarterly gains in 2 years as successful Indian IPOs, including Ola Electric and FirstCry, bolster its vision fund Kitty. Performance also helped by higher valuations of Chinese giant Didi Global and South Korean e-commerce giant Coupang. Knight Frank Global Chair believes 2025 will be better for the global property market, says the Indian real estate market is of huge interest among global investors. That's an exclusive. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump starts giving shape to his hardline policy on China and immigration, is likely to pick Senator Marco Rubio as Secretary of State and Michael Waltz as his national security advisor. Tom Homan, the former head of immigration and customer enforcement, will be in charge of deportation of illegal immigrants. On the first day of the COP29 summit, attending countries endorsed carbon credit quality standards pave the way for a UN-backed global carbon credit market. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres warns time is running out. We'll come to all of that in just a bit, but first, the market action of the day. Indian equities started modestly in the green, but the gains were short-lived. Pressure from weak Asian cues and continued softness in corporate earnings sent the markets deep into the red again. The sensex and the Nifty each lost over 1% over the course of the day, with the Nifty closing near a 5-month low. 44 of the 50 Nifty stocks closed in the red. Prashant is here with the market action. Prashant, over to you.
It was a tough day. The market started higher, but that was just a mirage, because very quickly we turned south, and then there was the direction that the market sort of kept on for the rest of the trading session. 24,000 went, 24,900 went, and of course, I mean, we ended not very far away from the day's lowest level. The Nifty Bank, really no luck there as well. PSUs actually were a pressure point through the course of the day, and I'll come to that in just a bit. Mid-cap and small-cap stocks also came under some selling pressure. Market breadth was negative, almost 4 down for every stock which was higher. So it was that kind of a day. I mean, if you're wondering what is the overarching sort of theme, we've of course been talking about the earnings slowdown, deceleration that we've seen. Q2 has been, as we've been putting it, an earnings season to forget. FI, sell-off, etc. has been there. But I think at the margin, the new thing in that sense is the relentless rise in the dollar. The dollar index, by the way, has risen to about nearly 106 levels. It went up last night. It went up during the course of Asian session as well. I'll get to stocks on the Nifty. Britannia was down 7%. NTPC was down 3%. BEL was down 3%. Asian Paints and HDFC Bank were some of the others which were down between 2 and 2.5 odd percent. I mean, what was up, you could just sort of count 2 or 3 names: Trend, Sun Pharma and Infi, and it was feeble. Less than 1% gains coming in on these 3 Nifty stocks. On the downside, I mean, enough and more. As far as broader markets are concerned, you had Mothers and Sumi, which was down 5.5%. Piramal Pharma was down 7%. Rate Gain was down 9%. That's a sharp cut. Afcons, which is recent listing, was a big loser. Jyoti Laboratories, BASF down 14.5% on huge volumes. There was Global Spirits down 10%. We spoke with the management of Akums in the morning. That's a recent pharma listing, 10% lower. Whirlpool was down 7%. Vector Foods, Borosil Renewables. I could go on, but you get the sense. This is, the list of some of the big volume-led losses that you really had. On the upside, Jubilant Food was a gainer, outsized one, 6%. Uno Minda went up 7%. Loda Developers, 4.5%. Ramco Siemens, Newland Laboratories, GET&D, and LTTS were some big volume-led gainers today. But the session really belonged to the bears. I think the trajectory of what the dollar does really will matter. And that is something we'll closely watch as we come back tomorrow morning as well. Back to you.
Prashant, many thanks. Well, that was the equity market action. Let's talk about currencies, where the rupee hit a new record low as the dollar continues to strengthen. Most Asian currencies witnessing a similar trend today, losing up to 0.5%. Dealers expect the rupee to weaken further due to continued selling of equities by foreign portfolio investors. But Bitcoin's record-breaking rally continues. It has taken the cryptocurrency closer to the $90,000 mark. The surge has been fueled by expectations of a more crypto-friendly regulatory environment under the Trump administration. The largest crypto asset has risen more than 25% since Trump's victory on the 5th of November, and this has taken the market cap beyond $1.75 trillion, which is higher than that of silver. But let's talk about the big macro data of the month. Retail inflation spiking in the month of October, coming in at a 14-month high. Industrial output, meanwhile, has come in at 3.1% for the month of September. Lata is here to decode the numbers. Lata, we did get a hint from the governor that inflation wasn't going to look pretty, and it isn't.
No, it isn't. Our poll said 6%. There were quite a few people who were expecting above 6%, but 6.2 is absolutely at the upper end of the respondents whom we spoke with. So this is going to be a bit of something that the market has to get used to. Perhaps the positive is that the biggest culprit is food, rising 10.87% year on year. And within that, it is vegetables, which have risen 42%. So that is the consolation. These are always, a seasonal rise in tomatoes, onions and potatoes, what you call top veggies. And it is those that usually, scale back very quickly when the crops arrive, short duration crops. So everyone knows that by November, many of these prices have already started declining. So there is also a base effect, which is going to keep the November number looking better. But 6.2 is ugly. It's going to make the average look bad. This is the last number that the Reserve Bank goes into the monetary policy with. So when your last number is 6.2, you can't sound even dovish. As well, your overall average for the year, which was 4.5%, now has to be scaled up. The forecast has to become probably 4.7 or some number like that. All told, it's not a very comfortable situation for the Reserve Bank. Of course, in the context of a currency that's weakening every day, no one was expecting the Reserve Bank to cut, but this is just not a very comfortable position at all for monetary policy. Just one more point on IIP, I think that's the silver lining. It's not a number we give much store by, because it's an extremely lagged number. We're getting the September IIP at 3.9%, but it's a relief because the average I got was about 2 to 2.5. Last month, August, was minus 0.1. So from that, this is a big relief. Manufacturing in particular has done very well at 3.9. So that perhaps is the one silver lining, but otherwise this will count as weak macros.
All right, and Lata will be back again to take us through more of the inflation print and the implications that's coming up for you on CNBC TV18. Let's talk about the big global stories. We continue to track tensions in West Asia. Iran-backed militia group Hezbollah has launched a barrage of rockets into northern Israel. Reports suggest that over 160 rockets were fired towards the region, leaving several people injured. Israel's newly appointed Defense Minister Israel Katz has dismissed reports of a ceasefire in Lebanon. Katz has said that Israel will continue to strike Hezbollah with full force. Israeli forces continue to bombard Gaza, killing at least 17 people in the region. The military has also stepped up its offensive in Lebanon, killing 17 people. A missile hit a building where 30 people were residing, including Syrian refugees. Officials said rescue operations are ongoing. In global earnings, SoftBank has reported its biggest quarterly profit in 2 years in the September quarter. The Japanese giant's overall net income rose to $7.7 billion. The conglomerate's steep rise in gains has been attributed to significant growth in its Vision Fund. Rachna joins us now with more on the SoftBank earnings. Rachna, so India to the rescue in many ways.
That's absolutely correct. The Vision Fund reported gains of 373 billion yen, driven largely by strong IPO performances and rising valuations in key investments like Coupang and DD Global. But it's India that's really paying off for SoftBank. The recent listings of startups like Ola Electric and FirstCry have registered strong returns. FirstCry, which was a part of the first Vision Fund, was an investment of about $400 million, but the return is of $1.2 billion for SoftBank. Another one is Ola Electric, which was a part of the second Vision Fund and an investment of about $600 million. And now the return is of about $1 billion. Apart from this, Delivery, which is an already listed logistics company, also gave strong returns of about $306 million to SoftBank. SoftBank is also confident of their pipeline. That's the company that are set to debut in the public market soon. First up is, of course, Swiggy, which will be listed tomorrow, with SoftBank's stake in the food delivery company to be valued at about $803 million. It registers a 78% rise in their investment since 2022. Another upcoming IPO will be of Off Business, which is also expected to be a $1 billion IPO, which will be launched sometime next year. But this is the first time that the Vision Fund has marked a profit in about 9 months. So it looks like harvest season for SoftBank for all the investments they had made in the last couple of years. But that's not it. The company has now set its sights on artificial intelligence, with SoftBank's Vision Fund shifting focus to strategic investments in generative AI. The latest bets include notable names like OpenAI and Perplexity AI. Through the second SVF, the company has invested about $500 million in OpenAI. And with AI fast being integrated around the world, the gains through artificial intelligence are soon expected to show in SoftBank's financial statements.
All right, Rachna, appreciate you joining us. That's SoftBank for you. Let's move on and talk about results back home. Asian paints under pressure owing to its underwhelming Q2 performance. Speaking to CNBC-TV18, the paint major's MD and CEO Amit Singhal said that muted consumer sentiment had hurt performance. Singhal also claimed that demand in urban centres is weakened in the ongoing quarter. Take a look.
October was a shorter Diwali. We had lesser number of days of retailing to that extent. And we also have a fairly high base in Q3 overall, as we see. We are a little bit cautious in terms of the overall demand conditions because we are seeing urban centers a little bit much weaker as compared to even to the rural centers, which have definitely kind of come up to that extent.
And shares of Britannia taking a beating in early trade after reporting a weak set of numbers in Q2. The stock was the biggest loser on the Nifty index. In an earnings call, the company's management said there may be some impact on volumes in the short term. They added that the demand scenario is not as robust as it has been in the past. Now, the government's direct tax collection up by 15% to 12.1 lakh crore rupees this fiscal. The rise in collections was led by higher contribution for both individuals and corporate taxpayers. Similarly, the securities transaction tax collections continues to surge, nearly doubling so far in the fiscal. The upward trend in collections aligns with the government's target of 22 lakh crore rupees this fiscal year. And on to a CNBC-TV18 exclusive. The agenda of the government's review of the direct tax laws will not include changes to tax rates. Sources tell us that the government is also undecided on whether any changes to tax laws will be actioned through amendments or a whole new act. Timsy is here with more. Timsy, so don't expect tax rate changes?
As government is currently conducting a comprehensive review of the direct tax laws, sources tell CNBC-TV18 that the review is likely to focus on easing legal hurdles and reducing the litigation burden for both the government and the industry. As part of the review, sources indicated that the Revenue Department is currently focusing only on easing the language and it is not in favor of changing any rates. Also, sources shared that the review of the existing Income Tax Act 1961 is to look at easing certain penal provisions and cutting down litigation. To conduct this review, remember, the Central Board of Direct Taxes had formed an internal panel which is right now considering to providing clarity in provisions via simplified interpretations. It is also understood via sources that the panel is also in favor of adding FAQs for absolute clarity in assessing the provision's intent for both taxpayers and the officers. However, whether the review will be presented in a form of a new act or will it be moved via bringing in certain amendments, that is something that the government has not yet decided. Apart from this, sources indicated that the review may result in major easing in the provisions of TDS, TCS, capital gains, clarifying on issues like taxpayers' classification, income sources, etc. And the aim of the government is to present these findings of the review committee and the proposals from the direct tax laws review in the upcoming budget 2025 in February. Let's see what will the review finally unveil for the taxpayers, something that we'll have to wait and watch for. Back to you.
All right, Timsy, many thanks. We will head to a break, but up next, Elon Musk Starlink is welcome in India, but there will be no concessions on licensing requirements, says Telecom Minister Scindia. That and more when we return. Telecom Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia says the Supreme Court's order on AGR dues is here to stay. Scindia added that the government to recover adjusted gross revenues dues worth 90,000 crore rupees in 2019. The apex court had dismissed petitions filed by telecom companies that challenged the judgment in September of this year. Telecom companies had sought a correction of alleged errors in the adjusted gross revenue levy. Well, the telecom minister has also given an important clarification on billionaire Elon Musk's Starlink. This comes just a day after reports suggested that Starlink official had agreed to meet India's data localization and security standards. Ashmit joins us now with the details. Ashmit, so Elon Musk anytime soon via Starlink in India?
What fate awaits Elon Musk owns Starlink's India aspirations? An important clarification coming in from the Indian Telecom Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia. He's clarified that Starlink has still not complied with all the relevant security norms. An important clarification coming in at a time when Elon Musk is looking keenly for approval for the license that he's applied for through Starlink for India aspirations. Now, over a chai pe charcha with the media, a question that was posed to the telecom minister essentially was, what is the road ahead as far as licensing framework is concerned for Starlink? Now, on that count, the minister gave a twofold answer. Number one, as far as the spectrum is concerned, the pricing of the spectrum, the mode of allocation of spectrum, that is to be decided by the telecom watchdog, which in this case happens to be the TRAI. On the question of licensing, however, the word that came in from the telecom minister is that Elon Musk is welcome to Indian shores, but just like any other party applying for a license, Elon Musk, Starlink, will have to meet with all the relevant security norms. The Indian government, the DOT, is open to the idea of issuing license, but it will be subject to compliance with these security norms. Those security norms have not been fully complied with, and when they are, is only and only when the Indian government will consider issuance of a license to Elon Musk-owned Starlink. So clearly an issue here, a stumbling block. Elon Musk, Starlink, yet to comply with the security standards for a license to operate in India.
Ashmit, many thanks for joining us. India's craving for healthy snacks is on the rise. A Nielsen report highlights that over 60% of consumers surveyed have opted for innovative and healthy snacking options. Shilpa joins us now with the details. Shilpa, take us to the contours of this report.
Well, you know, it's superfoods, it's baked not fried, it's no added sugar, multigrain. You know, Indians are now increasingly watching what they eat, and that's even when they're snacking. So not only has India emerged as the second fastest growing market in the APAC region, it is also what is leading growth here is healthy snacking. Now, 63% of consumers that were surveyed by Nielsen IQ are seeking healthy snacking options, and 50% now read the ingredient labels to understand the nutrition values. Now, as a result, smart snacking in India is growing 1.2 times faster than your otherwise traditional snacks that we were consuming. Now, this is thanks to a rise in lifestyle diseases among consumers, and that is driving consumers to prioritize snacks that promote bone health, immunity, heart health, gut health, and are looking for rich in nutrition, foods that are rich in nutrition and that come with natural ingredients as well. And they want them on the go. So small and affordable single packs are also driving demand, growing 60% faster than traditional snacks. Now, from a geographical point of view, metros are what are leading this trend, and South and East Asia, in fact, account for 60% of the smart snacking snacking market. Interestingly, this trend is also spilling into the consumer tech space with, fitness wearables are growing nearly 60%. Air fryers have been actually growing more than 100%. Then no surprise that consumer companies are also hopping onto this trend. In fact, today, 1 in 5 snacks in India have a health connotation attached to it. And if you take a step back and look at the larger picture, then this could indicate that there's a much larger shift in urban consumption that is now opting for healthier options and perhaps moving away from picking up those regular chips and biscuits that they were otherwise picking up from store shelves.
All right, Shilpa, many thanks for joining us. That is going to be an important trend to track as far as FMCG companies are concerned. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. The news will continue right after this break. Stay tuned. We're back in a moment with more.